Hey, this is Sports Plus. And it's amazing. We're in. And the themes. We're in John's Gospel, the I am sayings. And the theme is outrageous. I don't know about you. I don't know what you're thinking now. Is it really outrageous? I mean, Jesus is claimed to be the bread of life. He's now claiming to be the light of the world. John claimed that Jesus was the one and only. Is it really outrageous? Well, if I was something like you, I think I'd be thinking it's a little bit strange. Why is Jesus making all these funny remarks about himself and saying, I am, and then using a picture? Well, you see what Jesus is doing? It's called a metaphor. It's quite good at English, to be fair. And now I understand that it's a metaphor. I was awful at English. I don't really understand English. But I do know what a metaphor is. Because I've been listening around Sports Plus, and I've been hearing several metaphors. Let me just throw out a few. I was at squash today. Just overheard someone watching Naomi Patterson play squash. You know what I heard? Whoa, see Naomi? She's on fire. Whoa, all of a sudden someone's gone, where? Fire extinguisher. What's happening? Well, no one did that. Of course they didn't. But it's a picture, right? What do you think Naomi Patterson was doing at the time? Yeah, she was class. She was really good. She was getting around the court. Someone's gone, she's on fire. I heard someone as Griffo with his pants in the bin. I was on the back. Someone's just turned to me and gone, tell you what, Griffo, he's had a nightmare, hasn't he? What? Was he asleep? Happened as a dream? No, it's a picture. What does it mean? If Griffo's having a nightmare, what's he really having? He's having a bad time. He's having a shocker. Griffo's having an absolute shocker. Hey, listen, one more. I was on tuck shop duty yesterday, and some of the young people was thinking, oh, shall I buy a blue sweatband or a white sweatband? White was the favourite coming out. And then I asked her, what about any CIS stash? And one young lad turned to me and goes, oh, tell you what, cost you an arm and a leg, though, any of that stash does. I'm like, you what? What, someone's actually going to take your arm and your leg? And you're just going to hobble out with one leg and one arm? It's not going to happen, is it? No, it's a metaphor. It's a picture. What do you think he meant? It was very expensive. It is quite expensive, isn't it? Very expensive, the CIS stash. Do you see what Jesus is doing? He is using picture language. Of course, he's not the bread of life. You can't eat him with a knife and fork. It's not like a slice of toast. Of course, Jesus, in this passage, he's not saying that he's like a candle, stands there like this, and light comes out of his head. He's not saying that. You know he's not saying that. So, what does Jesus mean? And does it really matter? You see, up to now in John's Gospel, I wonder if you thought about it last night in your study. In John's Gospel, Jesus is dividing opinion. He really is dividing all sorts of opinion. Some are thinking that Jesus is demon-possessed. Some are thinking he's not right in their head. Others are thinking, do you know what? I think he could be who he says he is. Some say he's a liar. Some are saying that he's a great teacher. And you see, it doesn't really matter what those people are saying. Because John's saying, no. Do you get who Jesus is? Look at his claims and look at his acts. Do you get who Jesus is? Jesus is dividing opinion all over the place. He's a little bit like a Yorkie bar. A little bit. Not very much, but he's a little bit like a Yorkie bar. Because you know the outrageous claim of the Yorkie bar? Do you know what it is? Oh, I heard that. Girls at the front said it. Not for girls. That is the claim of the Yorkie Bar. The Yorkie Bar's claim is it is not for girls. Now, hands up if you totally disagree with that claim. Oh, look at all the girls here. You totally disagree with that, do you? Totally disagree. Hands up if you totally agree with the claim of the Yorkie Bar. Look at that. Do you see how opinion is divided upon the claims of the Yorkie Bar? And this is exactly what Jesus is doing. He is dividing claims all over the place. Some say he's class, others say, "Cool, stay away from him. He's a liar. He's blaspheming. He's saying he's God, and he cannot be God." Here's the difference between Jesus and a Yorkie Bar. The claim that Jesus is making tonight is actually a matter of life or death. See how different that is to a Yorkie Bar? He's actually claiming that get this right, and I'm offering you life. Get this wrong, and it's death. So I'm going to ask two questions. Kaz asked the two questions. What does Jesus mean when he claims to be the light of the world? And what does it matter? What does Jesus mean? Well, there are two things that we're going to pick out. So keeping page 26 open. Here are the two things Jesus claims. I am the light of the world. The light of the world. What does Jesus mean when he claims to be the light? Well, think this through. Maybe in RS you learn a little bit about this. First book in the Bible is what? Genesis. Do you know the first thing that God ever said in Genesis? I can hear it from the front class. Let there be light. And so when Jesus comes in, probably into the temple, a little bit like this, and at this time there would be lights all over because it's a special feast. It's a special feast that celebrates God. Be candles all over the place, and then a big lantern right in the middle of the temple. And Jesus comes in and says, I am the light of the world. This is what he means. When God, in Genesis chapter 1, said, let there be light, at that time, we knew that God was working. God is at work. This is what light means. God is at work. That's what light means. So when Jesus comes in and says, I am the light, he's saying, I am God at work. And the lights in the temple were there to celebrate God's saving work of the Israelites hundreds of years before. And now Jesus is going into the temple and he's saying, no, I am God at work, especially in rescue. The lights in the temple pointed back to when God rescued the people. And now Jesus is saying, I am God at work, and I have come to rescue people. Can you imagine the people in the temple? Can you imagine the Pharisees thinking, who is this man? What is he doing? This is outrageous. It's a little bit like, did you watch the Wimbledon final? I think it's a little bit like this. We watched Andy Murray, class, bang, bang. We watched Federer, a little bit more class, bang, bang. And Federer wins, and Murray's sobbing there and sniffing away. Good lad, class. It's like this. Someone jumps out of the audience onto centre court while Murray's giving his interview, and he stands up with his arms like that and says, you think these two are good tennis players? You think these two are some of the best tennis players in the world? I am the greatest tennis player in the world. Can you imagine if someone did that? You and I would be sitting there going, what is this fella doing? This is outrageous. Federer is the best tennis player in the world. He's proved it. Andy Murray's about second, third, fourth. This is what's happening in the temple. Outrageous that Jesus would make such a claim. I am God at work. You see what light does? I'm God at work and I rescue. But specifically, what does light do? Got a little torch. It's only a little fella. But this was the claim of the torch that I bought. Amazing power. So let's dim the lights. Let's see if you think this torch has amazing power. at those little faces looking back. Oh, I can see Bertie Kennedy over there, right at the top corner. Look at him. It's quite powerful, right? And this is what light does. It does two things. When Jesus says, I'm the light of the world, I am God at work, and I've come to rescue. But it also does two things. So dim the lights again, please, lads. What does it do? It shows me where to go. Look at that. The light is actually shining so that I know exactly where to go. I don't need to stumble into anyone. I know exactly where to go. See what Jesus is saying? I'm the light that leads you exactly where you need to go. That's the first thing that light does. It shows me the way. But the second thing that light does, you see, this is the nasty part. Light exposes bad things that are in the dark. So if we had a little look up there, maybe we could see some cobwebs, maybe. But I'm actually going to turn to Hetty here. And it's quite dark. Here's Hetty on the front row. I'm going to ask her to open her mouth. So let's have a little look in your mouth, Hetty. Oh, you haven't got any fillings, but a little bit grubby. Oh, look at that on the side there. Grubby teeth. You see what light does? It exposes things that are in the dark too. So lights on, boys. Sorry, let's not stay in dark the whole time. See what Jesus is saying? I can show you the way. I'm God at work, and I've come to rescue. It's me. And I expose the bad things that are in the dark. I am the light, says Jesus. And secondly, I'm the light of the world. Now, I've got to understand this too. I'm the light. I'm God at work. I'm come to rescue. But I'm the light of the world. And Jesus does not mean that he's the light of the globe, because the sun is. Jesus isn't saying he's the sun. The world in John's Gospel is about a people who reject God. Those who have failed to see who Jesus really is. A disbelieving people. In fact, Jesus goes on to say, it's people who hate me. That is what the world is in John's Gospel. The word world is used for that kind of person. And the Bible tells me that we've all hated God, hated following him, rejected his rule. That's what Jesus means. I am the light of the world. I'm God at work, especially in rescue. I show people the right way, and I also expose the things that are wrong in their hearts. I am the light of the world, says Jesus. There's the first question. Second question, ever so quick, does it matter? Does it really matter? What does it matter? The little girl here is nodding her head. I think she's got it right. I think it really, really does matter. Let me help you understand this. If you are a Christian, you see what Jesus is saying. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me, he will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. This is the claim that Jesus is making. I am life. I am real life. I am real life that has hope. I am real life that has purpose. I am real life that has a future. If you're a Christian and things are really tough for you at the moment, this is what Jesus is saying. Trust in me. I am life. I can encourage you. You see what Jesus doesn't say? He doesn't say, listen, trust in me and I'll sort the problem out easily. And I'll give you the finest life ever and there'll be no troubles. Jesus does not say that. Jesus says, when you face troubles, you can trust in me because I've been there. I've walked your path. I've suffered more than you'd ever imagine. You can trust in me. And if you're a Christian as well, second point to the Christian, Jesus is saying, I want to expose in your life things that aren't great still. You trust in me? But I still want to expose things like the light shining in Hetty's mouth. I still want to show you that real life is about trusting in me. And real life means being obedient for me. And you will be totally satisfied, as we heard last night. And so if you're a Christian here going, I do trust in Jesus. Jesus is still saying, I'm the light. Follow me. but I want to expose things that still aren't right in your life. Things you're watching on TV, not right. Maybe a relationship that you're in back home that's not good. Maybe on the sports field when you're being so selfish and you're making it all about you. Jesus is saying, no, that's not what it means to really have life. Trust in me. Keep trusting in me. I want to expose things that aren't right. And I'm going to help you live out this life of obedience. That's what it means to live, to really live, to have life in all its fullness, as John later on goes to say. Being obedient to me, I will truly satisfy. That's what it matters if you are a Christian. And if you're not a Christian, it really does matter. Because Jesus says, whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So in other words, he's saying, if you don't follow me, you will remain in the darkness. It's a horrible thing being in the dark. Can you remember a time when you've been in the dark in a strange place that you're not familiar with, and you're on your own, and there are no lights, and there's nobody around? It's a horrible, horrible feeling. What about when you're with your mates, and your mates get together and they're talking, and then you come along and go, oh, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, no, you needn't know, it doesn't matter. And it's like you're left out in the darkness. Horrible, isn't it? Isn't it horrible to be left in the darkness? You see what Jesus is saying? If you don't follow me, you will be left in the darkness. And darkness in the Bible, it means a little bit more than just being left out. It means actually that you come under the judgment of God. But when darkness appears, it's actually God's judgment upon you. And you see what Jesus is saying? Whoever follows me will never have God's judgment upon them, his judgment of anger upon them. Because Jesus has taken that. But if you don't accept Jesus, if you continue to reject Jesus, then God's judgment remains on you. You still remain in the darkness. You see how this really matters? God will judge those who have rejected him. We call it sin. Oh, friend, if you're not a Christian, this really, really does matter. I wonder if I could even prompt you and ask you, stop being stubborn. Stop it. Stop thinking that you're king in your life. Stop thinking that you're the ruler in charge. Life is so fragile. Angus, one of the team leader twos, I don't think he's in here today. He is. Angus. Hey, lunchtime he was running around delighted in life, thrilled. And then he plays footy and he's gone and broken his ankle. But he's here still. A little snapshot that we are so fragile. And life is so fragile. Remember hearing about Wells with his mate Hegarty? No longer here. 23 years old, died of cancer. My friend, if you're not a Christian, please stop being stubborn. Will you look to Jesus? Will you investigate his claims? Will you listen tonight in the study when Jesus helps a blind man see? Because here's the deal, and let's end here. Maybe you're blind. Maybe you don't see Jesus for who he is. You know, the prayer of your team leader has been, please, Lord, open their blind eyes. You know, the prayers of your coach has been, please, Lord, open their blind eyes to the truth of who I am. Friends, don't let this week pass without saying, I want to be in the light. I want to trust that Jesus is the light. I don't want to be in the darkness. I believe in him. I trust in him. And I want him to keep changing me. I wonder if tonight is a great night for you to speak to your team leader about that. Because you, for the first time, have understood the claims of Jesus. We're going to watch a DVD. Will you think through that message clearly?